great place to grab the mic and be on the air. Lone Star Community Radio offers a great opportunity to those interested in learning about the radio world all year round. Be an on-air personality, talk show producer, or YouTube, TV, podcast editor. Contact the station at info@irlonestar.com or call the station's message line at 936-647-3776.
Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Hey, this is Skippy from Mornings with Lone Star with Dick and Skippy. You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZWLP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. So this is our Tuesday that we're going to be signing everything. And so I'm so happy for you to be here. I will be speaking the whole time that I'm signing, and my guest will do the same thing. The difference between us is that she was born profoundly deaf. And she learned, and she's going to tell us a story how she even discovered that she was deaf. She knew no other way, but she wasn't speaking, and her mother and father started feeling like, wait, something's wrong. And she's going to tell how that happened and what her understanding of her world, what was going on around her, all her family members and all that. It was just, that's how life was. And so she is going to be speaking and signing. And she said before, I need to, tell everyone that I'm sorry that maybe my sign is difficult sometimes to sign and talk at the same time. And I went, I know. And so I need to apologize as well, because if I make a mistake, I told her, don't feel bad about correcting me, because that's how I learned from her. Because Yvonne was the first one that, and her husband, Larry, taught me sign language in their home. I would go every day and watch them and listen, ask questions, and they were wonderful, wonderful teachers. So anyway, I want to introduce you now to my friend of over 50 years. 50 years. I can't believe that. I probably shouldn't have told him that. I said we started being friends at 10 years old. No, that's not right. I met her in 1976. So anyway, this is Yvonne Butler. She's not related to Austin Butler. She went like that, like, oh, rats. Anyway, so Yvonne, thank you so much for being here with me. And Larry, I know you're watching. And so write down all the mistakes I make and then let her know, okay? Okay, all right. Anyway, so did you have any trouble finding Conroe?
No, pretty easy.
Pretty easy?
Drove on about right eye, got on 35, got off at 105.
Done.
Easy.
So why was it when I came out to see you, it took me almost 2 hours to arrive at your house? I think I know the answer because I got confused with my GPS. I wanted a divorce from that GPS. I could have she wouldn't talk to me, and she would just, I just had to read everything, where to turn, how many feet left and all that, how many feet do I have left before I have to stop? It was terrible. And so it took me so long to get to your house. And so I was worried that maybe, it would be confusing for you. But the most confusing part to Yvonne was, where's the Conroe Tower? When I pointed it out to her, she said, "That's the tower?" And I said, "Yes. Doesn't it look like one?" She said, "It's not, I don't think it's tall enough." But so it was funny to her. And Bob Smiley, who's still making fun of the tower. The tower. Anyway, okay, so Yvonne, I ask you to please tell us your story, because it's going to be so surprising to people that you were born profoundly deaf, but you can speak, and it's easy to understand you. And so how could that be?
Thank you for inviting me. When I was born back in the 1930s, people didn't know the test babies for the hearing. They didn't do that. So my parents didn't know that I was deaf. But Mom told me that they were confused because they thought I could hear at times, because maybe as a little girl I would be up there and I would hear my dad come home downstairs, and I would run down and hang my dad. They couldn't figure that out, but later they thought it was because the house was built on blocks. That's where you can feel the door open and shut. While I'm upstairs, I run down. I was there observing as man died and Diamond. I noticed people talking, and I look at them. And Mom said I would look at the man, and I would copy the man's movement, but I couldn't talk well. So my aunt herself was a special ed teacher. She told my mom to go to the doctor and check to see why that's happening. So Mom took me to the doctor, and the doctor told her I was profoundly deaf, and she cried. The doctor said, "Don't worry, there are many, many resources. You can either have hearing aids and things that will help her." And Mom told the doctor, "Not that. I'm just relieved to know what is wrong. We didn't know what was wrong with her. Now we know where to start." So that was it. Yeah.
That's amazing, because you were able to fool everyone. But it was 1947, 1948.
Yeah.
We were born the same year. I thought you were older than me, and now I find out we're the same age.
No.
And Larry is younger than both of us, right? Is he?
Larry was born in April, and I was in July.
And I'm in November.
So you're the baby.
I'm the baby. Okay. No. So anyway, you were born, and the deaf, profoundly deaf, completely deaf, and that your parents didn't know until you were about, what?
2.5 to 3, something like that.
And to understand now all the resources that they have for someone who's deaf, all the technology
But
that
back
is there.
then-
Nothing.
back then, the hearing aids was this big. So
Did-
as a little girl, I had to put it on as a whole, on my whole time. And I did something so bad. I hated that hearing aid. I took it to the toilet and I flushed it.
You flushed it,
I got spanked.
and you got a spanking for it. Okay. Well, I know your mother helped you so much, and she concentrated on allowing you to learn everything you could, and be exposed to so much so that you knew what was happening. And then explain when your brother died, what happened or how you felt at that.
Okay, I was about 5 years old, and my family was coming home. I don't know where we're coming home from, but my aunt was driving a car. My dad was in the front, Mom, me, my sister was about 2, and I'm sorry, my brother was about 2, maybe almost 3, and my baby sister was a newborn, and back then the garage was small, so everyone had to jump out of the car for that driver to park in the garage. So everyone got out, around the swing. Mom and Dad took care of the baby. My brother got in front of the car and looked under the car with always curious about mechanical things. So none of us knew. I think I thought, but I didn't understand. So she ran over him. They took him, he was still alive. They took him to the hospital. And Mom came home without my brother. And I asked my mother for Patrick, my brother. And Mom had tears. She said, God took him home. I said, I had no idea who God was at all. I was 5. My vocabulary was not that high at that time, so I told Mom, why don't God come for coffee and bring Patrick so we can play? And Mom cried. So I knew I couldn't ask my mom about Patrick anymore, so I had it in. Should I go on?
Yes, whenever you
Okay.
whenever you heard the word God again,
Okay.
it was associated with almost the same thing.
Okay, so that, and 1 year we were living in Midland. My family moved out there. Then Mom got a phone call from Houston. My grandma explaining that my grandpa was gone, but Mom told me that we have to go to Houston because God took Grandpa home. And I'm thinking, who is this God? Thinking it was me taking this people, but I didn't understand. No, I was going to church, yes, but I didn't understand what was being said or anything like that. At the time, I was 11, 12 years old when my grandfather died, so I still didn't understand. Then we went to Houston. At the cemetery, I noticed the graves had drawn Patrick on there, and I thought, oh, I remember Patrick there. Then realized he was in the ground, and they buried my grandfather in the ground. That was a puzzle. Didn't know who God was, and the Bible back then was only had King James and English Standard Bible, not very easy to understand. So I couldn't read and understand anything. So I didn't really understand God until I went to Texas School for the Deaf. We had to go to church, and I picked up a little bit more about it. Then went to college. I didn't go to church anymore. When I got married and got pregnant, I told my husband, I feel like we have to go to church. I don't know why I felt that way, but Larry said, okay. So I looked in the newspaper, looking at the place where we can worship, and I found one at Westbury Church of Christ that had interpreter. So I went there, and I remember going in that church. I think the interpreter, the brought a woman, and she took her to the front row with the full sky to sit in the front, but it was so fascinating to interpret the lesson. I very, very enjoyed that. And that from then on, I just loved going to church. And I've been going for more than 50 years now. So I understand God is not me. He's good. He's love. But that's not my picture when I was little.
That is so fascinating, amazing to me, because trying to understand God, if you could hear, see everything, it's still difficult. But for a child who doesn't hear the name of God all the time in their house, and no interpreters at church when you were small, and teaching you that concept of God, but all you knew was that they kept telling you that he's taking these people that you loved and were special to you, he's taking them. So what else could you think but what a mean man he is to do that? So I think it's amazing, because at Westbury was where I met you and Larry. And we're going to go to a break right now, and we'll come back and we'll talk about when we first met. Okay? Okay. Thank you guys for watching the Cindy Cochran Show. And I'm so happy that you are joining us. And we have Yvonne Butler, and she's talking about her life being born profoundly deaf, but what she has accomplished and she improved and what she has done in her life. So we'll be right back. So thank you again for being here. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Every week, people ask the same two questions. Are they ready to retire? Will their savings last for their lifetimes? Hi, this is Chris Wootton with Wootton Financial Group. Our firm has been in Montgomery County for decades, but the hopes and dreams of the people we serve never change. We help answer these two questions and many more that people have about their uncertain financial future. We have a simple introductory client experience that allows us to get to know the client and includes a few meetings for the client to kick the tires at no charge. We provide a concise, one-page summary that helps the client get a better handle on which questions are the right questions for them. To learn more about Wootton Financial Group's process in helping their clients to a clearer financial future and to see their contact information, visit Cindy Cochran Show page on irlonestar.com/TCCS. Wootton Financial Group is a proud sponsor of the Cindy Cochran Show. Wootton Financial Group is available by phone at 936-449-5952 or visit them on the web at www.woottonfinancial.com. That's www.woottonfinancial.com.
And we're back on the Cindy Cochran Show. Thank you so much for staying with us. And we have a see, I forgot to start signing. I have to remember that. We have a great guest today, and her name is Yvonne Butler, if you're just joining us, and we just are so excited to have her. But I'm also excited and want to thank our sponsor, which is Chris Wootton. It's a fun name to sign. And their name is the Wootton Financial Group. And they will help people with their retirement. This is retirement. This is a sign for retirement. And many people start worrying about, am I going to have enough money to make it till I die? What's going to happen? And so you need to be going like now, right now, and talking to someone who is a financial planner, and have them help you, and you'll calm your your fears. My husband and I have known and worked with Chris for, maybe 10 years now. And Sam, as I've told you many times, doesn't like everybody or anything hardly. But he likes Chris, and we stayed with him. So, he must be good. So anyway, thank you so much, Chris, for believing in us and sponsoring us. Okay, now back to your story. It's fascinating. Absolutely. Now, when you first went to a deaf school, where was it?
Well, in Austin,
Yeah, but you went to a public school.
I went to public school. Growing up, first I learned to live with school. Then I went to public school at 7. I started at 7. I went through to the 8th grade. I was 2 years behind. I wasn't with the grade level with my other students. I was 2 years older than the other kids because I was deaf.
Right.
So then I was doing okay, but by the time I got to high school, it was hard because I kept changing teachers every hour.
That's right.
And they would forget they had a deaf person in the classroom, and I would be too embarrassed to raise my hand to remind them to look at me. I was supposed to do that, but too embarrassing, so I couldn't do that. So I really had a lot of stress.
Sure.
Really bad. Around 15 years old, I was just so frustrated that my period had stopped. And it didn't bother me, but it bothered my mom. And she asked me if a boy touched you. And I said, well, at that time I know nothing about sex. There was nothing on TV back then about
Right.
sex. Husbands and wives slept in separate beds on TV.
That's
so
right.
I never saw it. So I didn't understand what was wrong with my mom. And so mom freaked out. She took me to the doctor. And the doctor told my mom, no, she's afraid and no, she's right. So my parents were grieved because they didn't want to put me in a deaf school. I mean, they were so proud that I was doing so well.
Right.
But they knew my social life was zero. I had no friends. I mean, everyone thought I was weird. I was like, and really, my family was always moving every 2 years. So I had a different school every 2 years, different people. When I get there, they think I'm weird. By the time 2 years, they realize that I would buy them, they become friends, but then it's time to move. It happened every 2 years, moving around. So I really never had friends to begin with. So that they knew they had to do something to help me. So I remember our family went to McAllen on a business trip, to my dad's business trip, but the family went with them. And Dad told my sister to go in the other room with Mom. And Dad and I sat. He was sitting on the bed and I was sitting on another bed. And he was explaining to me that he said, Mom and I decided to put you at the deaf school in Austin. And I was confused. And I said, well, what about that new house? I was really excited about the new house because I was going to have my own bedroom. My sister in another room. I was really excited about that. And Dad said, yes, you will still have a bedroom, but you will go to the school in Austin. When we come home, it's your bedroom. So I thought, no, I don't want to go. And Dad said, well, try for 2 weeks. And if you don't like it, we'll talk about it. So I said, okay, but I thought my dad was wrong. I knew, but I was willing to try. So And I remember we're driving up here, PRD is up on a hill, driving up the hill, and those starboys and girls, happy. They're talking with their hands and expressions and running around and just laughing, and I'm thinking, wow, that was something I didn't have in myself for growing up. I mean, yeah, with no parents, but no friends. So I asked Mom, I said, Dad, and Mom said, yeah, I said, deaf like you.
But that time you didn't know sign language, right?
So
You didn't know sign language then.
no, I didn't know any sign language at that time, nothing. But I was fascinated because they were happy and they were raising their hand, their breath, and I mean, okay, so I thought, okay, they put my stuff in the carting. It's like a dorm, but it's one floor. Carting back then was an old building, now it's different, but you know, put it in. And they left. I knew they would come back in 2 weeks, but they left, and I felt fine. Separated from my family for the first time, but then I was talking, making new friends. I was trying to understand signs, and then another good thing is my testers, IQ testers, or THUR, thought I was too smart to be there. I didn't know that. Later, Mom told me, but the school told my dad maybe Yvonne should go on to Gallaudet Cochran. That was the word, only Cochran for them. My dad said, no, Yvonne does not know sign language. I'm not sending her off to Washington, D.C. with no sign. No, she's going to stay here for 3 years. A new teachers are going to plan a separate curriculum to her. So my lessons were different from my other friends, but it was good because I would finish my lesson and I would come help my friends with their lessons. They helped me with the signs and I helped them with the lessons. So I picked it up fast. So it was really, really wonderful. My parents came 2 weeks later and I met them. I said, bye-bye. Mom and Dad cried. I cried too, but I knew I would be fine.
That is so sweet. I love that. And I know that Austin was a great place for that school and the people that cared about, about all the deaf students and all the signs that were up on the streets that said, there's deaf people crossing here, so watch out for the kids. And it was great. I mean, that was a great time. But everything advanced so fast. Now, when you came to the church there at Westbury, you and Larry, I was standing in the back, and you and Larry were standing in the back too, and y'all were signing to each other, and I'm going like, how do they know what's going? Because we didn't have an interpreter at that time. Y'all came, we found out that you were deaf. You were coming to church because you knew you needed to go to church, but there was no one there to really interpret for you or anything, and that was very, very special. And so when the preacher's wife, Deanna Beecham, H-A-M-P, I hope I get that right, because Deanna got mad at me when I went on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and I said, the preacher's wife, and she said, you didn't say my name. And I went, I didn't say your name. I'm sorry. So she said, so the next time you go on Johnny Carson, say my name. And I went on a second time, and he never talked about that. It was other things they were talking about, so I didn't have a chance to say her name again. So I'm so glad we're saying Deanna Beecham, and I may have to call and tell them, watch this show. But she got up and started interpreting, and when I saw that, I was like, wow, because I had just seen like the Miracle Worker, the movie, and I knew that I wanted to learn how to sign. And so I got the book and learned the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. And that was fine, but I wanted to sign. And you know how you told me that hearing people, when they first start learning sign language, they act really silly because they want to sign everything, and they just make up signs just to act like they're signing something and they're doing it right. But you know that they just want so bad to communicate with you, and finger spelling slows you down, which happens here because I'm having to spell so many words I forget the sign for them. But the sign will replaces the having to spell. And so we went to classes, and Deanna taught the classes. And then I met you, and you had some friends that came with you to church.
Lady with that.
And I remember that after that, and after all the teasing that Larry did to me because of how lousy I was, that I was going to say, okay, fine. If I'm that bad, then I'm going to come over to your house every day, and you teach me how to sign. And you did. And then your daughter, Susie, and my daughter, Christy, both about the same age. Yeah, and they played together while you showed me, all the different signs. And there was a sign for every word, bad word, good word, and you taught me all the bad signs so that I would stop using the bad signs in the sermons when the preacher was talking, and I thought that meant that, but it didn't mean that. It was something bad. And Sam would say, so what signs did you learn today? And my husband would ask me, and I tell him, I said, you won't believe what they have for this word. And those are the only words to this day that he remembers how to sign, were all the bad words. But I told him, I said, well, if you'd use the sign instead of saying the bad words, that's okay, that's fine, that's a good idea. But he was, and everyone wanted to know, you mean they have a word for everything? And I said, yes, everything, there's a word for it. And they go like, well, what about this? And what about, and they'd ask me, that's all they wanted to find out. And then I remember the movie Children of a Lesser God came out, and they were using bad words in that. And I went, oh, I'm sorry. And that's Sam. Can I put him on the air? No. Why is he calling me? He knows I'm on the air. Okay. Honey, don't call me yet. I'm sorry. I try and remember to turn that thing off. Okay. So, anyway, but it was so much fun to learn all that, and I just ate it up. I mean, everything I did was signing. And I remember we were in the car, and we're going somewhere, and I'm signing everything I'm saying to Sam. And he grabs my hands, and he says, okay, I get it. You can sign, that's fine. But I don't understand anything that you're saying, so stop doing that. And I said, I can't, because this is how I think you have to learn this. You have to, every sign I see, I have to sign it, I have to spell it, and that's what you do, because I want to be, like one of the best interpreters that they could have. And so, especially being very, very expressive, yeah, and that's what I wanted, because I felt like after seeing that movie and being so inspired by that, and then going to y'all's house every single day, every day I went to your house, and what I learned was, and it's all now old-fashioned, and the technology is so different now, because first question I had, many people had and asked me. They said, "How do they know if someone comes to their door if they can't hear the bell ring?" And so I told them, I said, "Well, in the old days, the people, they just had a lock on the door, and people would open the door, put their hand in, and say, 'I'm here,' and it's Ralph, or it's whoever, and then you'd open the door." I said, "That's really pretty dangerous." Anyway, but then they had the light, so they pushed the button, and the light would flash, and they knew it was someone at the door. And then the baby, if a baby cried, how do you know if the baby's crying? Well, same thing. There was a light connected to the, where it would be set off by the cry, and they knew that it was the baby. And then they said, okay.
Yvonne, Larry, Mom, Dad, Larry, my husband, Mom, Dad, before they invented the fly. How did you know her baby was crying? She would lie down on the bed, and the baby's feet would be on her. So when the baby started to cry, they clipped. That's how they did a long time ago. I want to tell you
Oh,
that.
I never knew that. That's good. That's terrible. So you're always being kicked by the kid. Okay. So anyway, then they wanted to know about the people who couldn't hear or see, and that was very fascinating to them. And like you used your hand, and you could spell the letters in the hand, and just like from the movie. So there were so many things that changed, and like the TTY, that was fascinating, and that's what made me think about the police and the firemen being able to. You could get in touch with them. That would be so important to y'all, because you'd have to run over to someone's house and tell them, call the police or call the fire department, and this way you could do it. So I thought, I wonder if the police would put a TTY in their, in the station, because that would be important to you guys.
Some did, yeah.
I remember the meeting that we had a meeting and had everyone come to the meeting. And so we announced that now you're going to be able to call the police on the TTY, and they will, they'll respond. And they told me years later, they said, what was funny was we started getting calls, like immediately we got calls, but they were calling us to tell us about their water didn't work, and that they didn't understand that it had to be dangerous is when you call them. So the police thought it was cool for the police to have that, communication with someone who's deaf and needed help. And if it was whether the cat was in the tree or whatever, whatever was wrong, they would do it. And then the firemen came along, and also where you could call for if you had a fire or something. But I loved that in that time, those people, the police and the firemen did not know that there were that many deaf people in Houston. And I said, yeah, they say like 1 every 10,000 people will be deaf or hearing impaired, or whatever. It was enough for them to be counted that way. So they were like, okay, well, we didn't know. That's good to know. And I remember other interpreters saying to me, how did you get the news on the air? How did you get the firemen and the policemen to help the deaf people? I said, I just ask. And I don't think that y'all ask because you're afraid that the hearing people wouldn't understand or they wouldn't do anything for you. But they're all, once they figured it out. I would get letters at Channel 13, and it was like fan mail, and they would say, "Thank you, Cindy, for doing this for the blind." And I go like, they don't get it yet. It's not for the blind, it's for the deaf. And it's different. But it was a good thing for Channel 13. They got a lot of rewards from having the interpreting. And so that's why it's so important for me, because I went from there to church and started interpreting. Interpreting at church was the most important thing. I learned a lot, but from you and Larry, it was like everything. We talked about so many different aspects of being deaf, and this is something that Yvonne told me. She said, "Cindy, can you tell me what my daughter's voice sounds like?" And I never expected a question like that. And I said, well, it's very light, it's very sweet, and very happy. And I tried to think of all the words that really didn't make any difference to you, but it did make you feel like, I guess, that's what you were hoping for. And you said to me, I knew it. I knew that's exactly how she would sound. And then Yvonne told me something. I know Larry's going, would you spell her name right? And Yvonne, oh, good. The sign, Yvonne. Anyway, Yvonne told me one day, I asked her one day, I said, if you could hear through a surgery, like the cochlear, that you could have an cochlear implant, and you could hear, would you do that? And you said no, and that shocked me. I went, no, wouldn't you want to hear sounds? And you said no, because I want the first sound that I hear to be the voice of Jesus. See, I can't even tell that story today without wanting to cry. It's so sweet, and it was such a, man, I told that story forever. Wherever I went, I told that story, because that was such a beautiful, reaction to having something that most people it would be devastating for them to have someone who's deaf in their family, or they became deaf. And there was a lady who was, she was going deaf. There was nothing they could do. This was in the early 70s. And she had seen me on TV. So she called and asked, they send me over. So they gave me the address. I went over to her house, and she said that this disease had gotten to where she only had like 6 weeks left of hearing. They don't feel like she could be able to hear after that, and there's nothing that they could do. So she said, can you please teach me to sign? And I said, of course. And she says, I want to be a part of the deaf world. I'm going to be a part of the deaf world. Now I want to be able to communicate with the deaf. So it was the saddest. It was so sad, because she would stop me and go, wait. And she would listen to a bird. And she said, that's going to be gone. That's all going to be gone. And so I want to remember, what that's like. And I said, well, you've had so much hearing. You don't understand how that's going to be so much better for you. And you will get along okay. And there's so many things that are coming, and the resources that are out there to help you is just waiting for so many, to help so many deaf people. The blind have things that are happening for them to help them. It's exciting time for what's going on. And so she said, well, I try to be happy. I try to look to the future, but I want to sign so bad. I just want to know how to sign. And so we would just study, and she felt like she had enough, and it was too close for her to be losing it. She just didn't want to. She didn't want to do. She was very upset, very emotional. But that was a very strange. I'd never had anyone ask me to help them sign because they were losing, and now he has 6 weeks. It was like she would say, I have 6 weeks left to live. And so I went over and taught them that. I feel like the spotlight that came on the deaf world during that time, so many people were afraid of the deaf. They were afraid of the deaf, the way the deaf sound, the sound that their voice would make, and they would try to avoid having to communicate or do anything with the deaf people. It helped, having the show on helped, having the movie helped, and all that. And I think that it was an exciting time to see change happening in the minds of people. And we saw where at the time when we were little, there was nothing for it. And because the deaf at that time were called deaf and dumb. And that was a stigma that took a long time to remove, that they're certainly not dumb. And because Gallaudet understood that they could learn how to, Gallaudet, he was the one who the college was named after, and he knew that he could teach a deaf person, and they could learn, and they could be fine. And he had so much, like faith and all that. It was so beautiful. I didn't mean to get into all that, but I wanted to tell you that because it's very important for hearing people. The more that they're exposed to things like that, it becomes where it's not scary. And it's like your kids had said to you that they loved the show on TV because their friends saw you and Larry and them on the TV show, and it made them where they wanted to come. They could come over to your house and all that. And it was just so precious. It was like, boy, that made it all worthwhile to do that. So anyway, you're not going anywhere. We're just going to take another break, one more break, and then we'll be right back. And we'll come right back. We're not going to come back. Richard has spoken. We're not going to. We're just going to keep going. We're just going to keep going until we end this. We'll come to 55, and then we'll probably have to stop. But anyway, is there anything that you would like hearing people to know about the deaf people?
Well, the thing is, it would be nice to hear people understand that the deaf people can be like the hearing people. Even if they wanted to, they can. But the hearing people can be like the deaf. They don't have to be deaf to sign. That's what I mean.
That's right.
The world would be wonderful if they can sign too.
Well, I think that when I did the show, there was a group in California that was very, very mad at me, saying, "How dare you think that you can, speak for the deaf people?" And I said, "No, I'm not. I'm just trying to teach the hearing people to sign and to see if this would be interesting to them, to want to become an interpreter or want to have a friend who is deaf, and that it's okay and it's fine." And that's what I wanted them to know. And they said, "Doesn't matter. You're not deaf. You can't. You can't, and you should not be doing this program." And I went like, "Okay, thank you very much for your advice and your support." But it was like a militant group, and I remember telling other deaf people that, "Do you feel like I should not be speaking for them?" And they went, no.
Some people are negative.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. But no, I don't. If it's the hearing try to have, that's wonderful.
Of course, and the better the communication, the better the whole thing. You have Susie and Shane, and they're both hearing, and do you see where, you being able to lip read as well as you did helped. Both of them sign and both of them are in work that is helping.
Actually, they son things. Wanted to little, the daughter son things because my husband knows son.
Right.
My husband does not use his voice to talk. So, not really learn son things. So, like she had her son, the mama, and daddy. The son with mama and daddy, so that's the baby son. I mean,
Right.
mom and dad. So,
And then they so it was so normal, and that was their first language, was sign language. And then they learned English, and their friends and all would were they embarrassed that you were deaf? Did they have that feeling at first?
my son, no, he was not embarrassed. No, my daughter, on the other hand, he was embarrassed. Yeah, I remember when she was little, she was going on do I have enough time to explain? But brownies for the weekend, and Larry brought her there, and he told her to ask her what time they would come back, what time, and so she went up, and she went sun.
Oh.
And it's a 9:30, 8:30.
Oh no.
So I got in. I was so mad when he came home. I was so mad. I drove back over where he dropped her, and I was hoping they were there. Took her out. I told her, "Do not go camping at all. Don't talk that way to the brought her home." And
Well,
I don't know if that was a good idea.
no,
I was so mad.
no. I think it was a perfect reaction. I love that because it was normal. I mean, because they were different, and but that's what I liked when she said, or when you said that they were excited to tell their friends that they were on TV and they were on PBS and they were on the Signing with Cindy show, and that helped them want to bring their friends because the friends wants to learn to sign, and I think it helped. It just helped so many people. And so it was great to have that opportunity to do that. But you guys, if it wasn't for you, it never happened.
Actually, she later wrote the head center class essay, something they had to do at the high school. She wrote a letter saying that she was sorry she did that.
Oh.
Thought it had a wonderful thing, and that was beautiful for her to write that essay.
Well, Yvonne, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I just want to tell everyone that this show is on YouTube, and it'll be on, and you can watch it again and again. That's YouTube. Okay, good. I never learned that sign. But anyway, you can watch it again and again, and I can't wait to go home and see it again. Richard, thank you so much, and thank you, first responders. We love you. We admire you. We think you're great. So thank you, and we love you, and God loves you more.
This program is sponsored by the Wootton Financial Group. It is not the intent of Wootton Financial Group to render or offer personalized investment advice or financial planning advice through this radio program or any related website. Wootton Financial Group's participation in this program is limited to providing general information on financial matters and should not be construed as financial recommendation or investment advice. Investment advisory services are offered through Game Plan Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission and the state of Texas. Insurance services are offered through Wootton Financial Group, Inc. Game Plan Advisors and Wootton Financial Group, Inc. are affiliated through common ownership, and neither firm is affiliated with The Cindy Cochran Show. No listener should assume that any information presented and or made available on this program serves as the receipt of or a substitute for personalized individual advice from Game Plan Advisors, Wootton Financial Group, or any